Good day. Today I'm going to talk about the culture and language. I did an interview to a teacher about this topic with a purpose of sharing our ideas.
What do you think about the culture?
Culture is shared patterns of behavior and interaction in people. This can give them an identity of each group of people. Culture encompasses religion, food, art, music, what we wear, how we wear it, the way that how we sit at the table, how we greet visitors, and other things. Finally, culture for me involves values and how we can live in the society and the behavior of people have. This is the most important in culture.
What is the influence of culture in the process of a foreign language process?
The influence of culture in the second language. In first place, consider that language is means of expressions. We express our feelings, thoughts, emotions, and desires. In second place, a culture is a characteristic of a particular group of people and defined by everything from religion, social habits, music, and art that define a person. In addition, culture finds its expressions in language. So that means that learning a new language without familiarity with its culture result incomplete. For that reason, I consider a necessity to now to study about the context, about the culture and places from which that language comes. In short, a language is a part of our culture, and a culture is a part of our language. In other words, we need not only the acquisition of a second language with the implementation of structure, grammar, words, or these things that are important in the acquisition of a second language, but also we need know about the culture, about that means of this country, the behavior of that people, and of that people that wish give us the second language. This is the most important things that we need to keep in mind. What is the influence of the culture in a second language? When we travel to other country, we have the opportunity to know what is the behavior of the people, what is the way that people wear, or people think, or people use the music, or what is the food, what are the most important things there, and this is the most important part of the culture in a second.
How do you involve culture in the strategies you use in your English classes? Give me an example.
I focus on this moment in the teaching of alphabet writing in students from 7th and 8th grade. The intention is to give the opportunity to each students to write short stories with the real situations according to the context that the students live. An important factor for me is give students the essential vocabulary to write their stories, and I want to know what is the creativity to the students at the moment to write those stories. And another important factor for me is the environment. The environment take a good role at the moment to the students write their feelings, emotions, and ideas in their papers. And it's important for me that they keep in mind the values that people in Caqueta have. Keep in mind what is the culture, what is the environment that they live. This is the most important thing for me in the implementation of this strategy to improve the writing skill, and implement and apply the culture.
What do you consider are the most important elements to success in the second language learning?
The success is the methodologies and the strategies that the teachers implement in the classroom. I think that it's important instructional materials created by teachers. It is important to create those materials because it's according to the necessities of each student and is according to the real context that students live. Another important element to implement in the acquisition of a second language is the technology because they give the opportunity for students to interact with people around the world, interact in the globalized world because the most important is motivate each students to learn a second language, to await the patient and to learn, to know about the culture, about this language, involving them in the culture, for example, of USA, that what happened there, what is the most important things there in this country, and the vocabulary, the grammar, and the structure of the sentence is important in the acquisition of a second language, and the teacher have the necessity to implement those materials, those tools that awake the motivation and the passion of each students at the moment to learn a second language.
Do you think what is important to learn other language?
Me, of course, it's important to learn another language, a second language, because we are in a globalized world. It's a necessity in Colombia learn a second language, a foreign language. According to the government, the intention is to create a bilingual country. So the person have the opportunity to be competitive in the world. Students not only will be formed by the acquisition of the second language. It is important to be competent to teach students values and what is important, the communicative competence, what is important, the acquisition of a second language, what is the role of the acquisition of a second language, not only to learn the English, but also to learn how to develop this language, how is the best way to interact with people around the world, interact with the structure of the language, interact about the context. Is this the most important in this globalized world? Is a way the abilities of each students in the field of education.
Do you think it's necessary to teach the culture of the second language?
Important to teach the culture of another language because their sharing or attitudes are not the same as ours. I consider that Colombians are friendly and confident, but for example, American people reject those actions, because the culture forbids them to have confidence as we do. And by other hand, the culture of that second language is important because in pragmatic, the intention or meaning varies according to the context. In pragmatic is a way the speakers comes to understand the listener and the listener reacting to what was said by the speaker. For that reason, for me, it's important to teach the culture of the second language, because when we want to travel
to USA, for example, people have another expressions, another dialects, another idioms that some cases people don't understand, speakers or listeners don't understand, and for that reason pragmatics to take a good role for me, because it's the way that we comes to understand things that the listener want to know about me. For example, when people when a person in USA told me what time is it or anything about me, I need to interpret what is the intention of this person, what is the reaction that I can do. And this is the most important according to the culture, because when we travel to other country, we have the necessity what is the behavior of other people there.
To conclude, we can highlight the importance of culture in a teaching of a new language, and also like the cultural language contribute among themselves. Okay, thanks for listening to me and pay attention. God bless.